the Browns re-signed 2 free agents. They technically tendered them, but for the sake of simplicity, let's just call it a re-signing because that's more or less what it is and what it accomplishes. So I want to discuss this, break it down with you guys, and then talk about a new topic that no one is talking about that I think we should spend a little bit more time on in the back half of today's video. But the 2 players that were tendered as exclusive rights free agents, linebacker Winston Reid, who I thought played really well down the stretch last year, especially with some of the injuries the Browns had at linebacker to guys like JOK. And then tight end Blake Whiteheart, if you recall, he scored a touchdown against the Raiders. The Browns went up 10-0. Then the Raiders put up 20 unanswered. Then there was that BS penalty, which wiped away an Mel Kiper touchdown. And that kind of ended the Browns season. No, it didn't. It was over by then anyway. But what is a tendered exclusive rights free agent? Over the next couple of weeks, we're going to have a lot of signings, and most free agents are unrestricted free agents. But there are some guys that fall into 3 different unique buckets, which is tendered rights exclusive free agents, restricted free agents, and then you've got unrestricted free agents. So a tendered exclusive rights free agent, I'm just going to read you guys word for word the definition, is any player with less than 3 accrued seasons and an expired contract. If his original team offers him a 1-year contract at the league minimum, the player cannot negotiate with other teams. Basically, the Browns can make a player a minimum 1-year contract offer, and his options are to take it or leave the NFL. That's it. You can't negotiate with other teams. You can only sign with that team. This happens to guys who are UDFAs, and I believe the spirit of the rule is to reward teams that find good UDFAs and then don't have bigger market teams come steal them away once they are a free agent. So that's what these 2 players fall into. And most of these restricted exclusive rights guys and restricted free agents are UDFAs or players taken late in the draft that were traded around and moved around a little bit. But as I was saying, Reid, I thought, played very well down the year. Not producer Reid, Winston Reid. 23 tackles, a tackle for loss, half a sack, 2 pass breakups. So no surprise here. The Browns looked at a good quality football player and thought, oh, all we have to do is offer him a league minimum contract and he comes back no matter what. Yeah, kind of a no-brainer to me, especially with the uncertainty revolving around Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and whether or not he is ever going to play football again. I was hoping to get some more confident responses out of Barry and Stefanski in Indianapolis as for JOK's injury status, and we really didn't. So I like this re-signing, if you will. Whiteheart, I thought, played pretty well last year, given his role and the opportunities he had. I mean, just 9 targets, 6 receptions, but hey, 51 yards, 1 touchdown. So again, a little bit of a no-brainer for what the price is, and Jordan Akins is a free agent. David Njoku is knocking on the door of 30 years old. He's had some injuries the last couple of years, so why not bring back someone who showed some promise for absolutely nothing compared to NFL salaries? I like both these moves by the Browns. I don't expect them to be seismic changes to the roster, but why not for what it would cost and just give them an opportunity to earn a roster spot in August. Now, we're going to talk about a storyline that I think deserves more attention. It's not Myles Garrett. It's not Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders. We're going to switch things up a little bit. But NFL free agency is 6 days away. So make sure you are subscribed and you have your notifications on. No matter the size of the move, we are going to break it down here on the channel. Size does not matter to us. So make sure you are subscribed for more Browns news and rumors. So as I was saying, I think we should talk about something for the second half of today's video that is not getting enough attention, in my opinion. And that is the Browns running back situation. Nick Chubb came up during Andrew Berry's media scrum after his official press conference in Indy, and he said the Browns are going to let Chubb test the free agent waters. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns bring him back, but I would be surprised if the Browns bring him back with full volume expectations from a workload standpoint. It would likely be a league veteran minimum type signing with the expectation of We're not going to put as much on your plate as we used to in years past, just given the age and unfortunately the knee injury, which hopefully at this point he'll be nearly 2 years removed from when the 2025 season kicks off and we can get something closer to the 2023 Nick Chubb than the 2024 Chubb. But I don't have a lot of faith in Chubb having a huge workload coming for him this upcoming season. And I don't have a ton of faith in Jerome Ford executing a huge workload and just delivering. He was one of, if you just go from a pure starting running back perspective, he was one of the worst starting running backs in 2024, just based off yards. Only 104 carries, so it's not completely fair to him, but I think there's a reason why he only got 104 carries. So I think we should spend more time, and when I say we, I mean fans, media, and hopefully the Browns on looking into some of the running backs in this upcoming draft class, because it is one of the best running back draft classes since probably 2017 when Christian McCaffrey, Leonard Fournette, Dalvin Cook, Joe Mixon, Alvin Kamara were all selected. Here's Mel Kiper's running back rankings. This is just a starting point for you guys to get more familiar with some of the names out there, but I think there are some excellent targets for the Browns in this upcoming draft class here, and I don't expect them to land Jeanty or probably Omarion Hampton because it looks like those two players could be going in round 1. But as for taking a player in round 2, well, I would have thought that in a mock draft a month ago. After seeing the Browns meet with a grand total of 0 running backs at the NFL Combine, I'm not very confident that the Browns at pick 33 plan to go running back. If the plan is to go quarterback at number 2, then my suspicion is at pick 33, it is best player available. And they will probably look for more of a cornerstone position like edge rusher, especially with Myles Garrett's future up in the air, maybe cornerback or maybe offensive tackle, and then find a running back later in the draft. So while I would love to see Omarion Hampton or Kaleb Johnson, 2 players who have similar game styles that I won't say remind me of Nick Chubb because that's a little unfair to these players to go, you remind me of this incredible running back. Well, that's a really high bar. But from a play style standpoint, they are bruisers. They search for contact. They don't look to go out of bounds. They look to fall forward and pick up the extra yard. They may not have the home run speed, but I'd rather have someone who can turn a 3rd and 4 into a first down with less than 2 minutes to go than a running back who can take a 60-yard run all the way to the house and doesn't get caught at the 5-yard line, and then they got to score 2 plays later. Give me the first running back instead. Now, my preference is Kaleb Johnson. I was at his media presser at Indianapolis, and I came away very impressed with the Ohio native. This is a guy who I think is a little bit under the radar because Ashton Jeanty simply existed this year. So whenever you talked about running backs, you just talked about Jeanty. Meanwhile, Johnson put up 1,500 yards, 21 touchdowns, in an Iowa offense where all they could do was run the ball. There was no passing game whatsoever. Every opposing Big Ten defense knew they can't throw to save their life. We're going to put 8 guys in the box, and that still was not enough to slow down Johnson, who averaged 6.4 yards a carry. But with the Browns meeting with 0 running backs, it could be one ginormous smokescreen, or it could be a sign of, and what I think is probably going to happen, they wait until rounds 3 or 4 to find a running back. Since it is a very deep running back class, and there's not this major drop-off after the first 3 to 4 players. Now, before we look at who they could find in rounds 3 to 4, I was browsing on Fanatics, and I saw this really nice Brownie the Elf hat here, 70% off. So with spring and the summer months just around the corner, go to chatsports.com/CLE hat. This helps support Chat Sports, and it's an awesome 47 brand hat from Fanatics, less than $10. So if you want to get a little bit more Browns gear in your life right now for super cheap, go to chatsports.com/CLE hat. It helps support the channel, and you get a Browns hat for $10. Who could the Browns be targeting, though, in rounds 3 to 4? How about a pair of Buckeyes? One, this fits the Browns' MO. Andrew Berry has had an affinity with this pipeline from Columbus to Cleveland since becoming the GM, and here are 2 awesome running backs coming off a national championship. If I had to pick one of these guys, you can probably guess which one I'm going to go with, and that's Henderson. Both these running backs, I don't think we're like a thunder and lightning combination for the Buckeyes, but they both have good receiving abilities, and I think that's becoming a more and more important trait for NFL running backs as they get more added onto their plate with the evolution of the NFL offense this day and age. So I think Henderson would be a wise pick if he's still there in rounds 3, or rounds 3 or 4, which they have 2 picks in round 3. If the Browns decide we're going to go quarterback in round 1, we're going to go offensive tackle with pick 33, and then we're going to find Henderson, who we think can be successful with Cam Ward and a brand new left tackle that we took 35 spots earlier. I don't think it's a bad strategy, but I really like Kaleb Johnson. And I think in 3 to 4 years, somewhat like Nick Chubb, who went in round 2, when inevitably a Bleacher Report article comes out going, redrafting the 2025 NFL Draft, I believe Kaleb Johnson is going to be a round 1 player, and I think it's a very good pick at 33 when it comes to drafting a football player who is going to be a good football player. But overall, it's just too good of a running back class to ignore, so I pray the Browns do not just mail it in at this position and go, let's re-sign Nick Chubb, we'll find another like Deontay Foreman type cheap running back, and then we'll roll with Jerome Ford for another season, and we'll try and find a running back in the future, maybe in 2026. No, this is a great running back class. You've got a first, a second, and 2 thirds. Right now, you have 4 picks in the top 100. I really hope one of those 4 picks is used on a running back. Now, speaking of running backs, name a random Browns running back. Before we pick a card, I love doing this in the offseason. This is just guys being dudes here. I've got my random Browns running back. Let's see if we see the same one. I'll count down from 3, 2, 1. Duke Johnson. Let me know if you said the Duke as well. But for now, let's pick a card here to wrap up today's episode. Which card do you want to go with, Mr. Barkus? No? Good audible. Nope, now we're on our 3rd card selection. 8 of Hearts from Reid. I'll go with 9 of Clubs. No, 2 of Hearts. 2 of Hearts. Ah, that sucks. I've been there. 2 of Hearts. Yeah. All right. We will be back with more on your favorite team in a little bit.